in the last video, we got to a point where we were able to create a pod that runs the blockchain Docker image for each chain. And when we deleted the chain resource, the pod would get deleted because of the owner reference. The next problem that we need to solve is that when we run the pod, it actually fails because it's misconfigured. So in this video, we're going to concentrate on actually configuring the pod. So just to give you a heads up, we'll do some initial containers that will run before the actual chain binary starts. We will need to share data across containers. And we'll initialize the blockchain, then configure it. And that means, updating the config, downloading a Genesis file, which is just a JSON file, and also downloading a snapshot, which is basically a database snapshot for the chain. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, so we need to start doing some initialization, which we'll do through init containers. Okay, we'll start first with the first one, which will be called name init. The image will be also the same image as for the node, actual blockchain node. However, the command that we're going to run will be different. And this command will actually grab it from the CRD file. So something like this. So we'll add init to our Juno. We'll actually add init, which will be run before the main container starts. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so we're going to set the chain ID. We're going to set the chain home. We'll change to that CD to that home. Actually, we don't need this. We just need chain ID. We'll get Juno ND. Okay. Chain ID will be this one, and then we're gonna echo done. Okay. And honestly, there's not much more we need to do. So what I love about Cobb is how quick it is. The fact that you can just embed this template directly in your code makes the experimentation really quickly. If you need to write an operator or controller, a Kubernetes controller really quickly, it just makes it super simple. And let's test what we have now. There we go. So I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to create our Juno chain. Okay, we have a problem because we are missing our validation failed because the spec init is not in our schema. So let's add it to our schema. Not only binary, we'll have the init, and let's apply that schema. Chain CRD. And now we can deploy Juno. There we go. So now it's starting. We still get an error, but you can see we have two containers. As you can see here also, the first one is init container, and the other one is proper container that runs the pod. Let's look at the log. We have done. So actually this initialization actually run. So now, slightly more complicated thing, which is we need a config. Config. Let's see if this works. No, this will not work. Yeah, this is a stupid. This is useless suggestion. We'll just write it. So chain ID. This is actually fine. So we're gonna update seeds. I'm gonna actually grab it. I'm gonna grab a couple of configurations that I have, which is here. So we'll update, since this command created a YAML config for our chain. I'm going to make a couple of updates to these config files to make the chain work. Not really important to understand how the operator works, but I want to actually get to a point where we have a working software. So the next thing is we'll download something that's called a Genesis, and Genesis also goes into the config file, and this Genesis is basically initial state of the chain, like initial seeds, database seeds for your chain. And I will also download a snapshot. And snapshot is just a, there's a typo. Oh. There you go. There you go. It's just a file. It's just like a SQL backup, basically. And I need to fix a couple of permissions. There you go. A couple of permissions. And this should be it. If I haven't made a mistake somewhere here, we should be fine. So we added one more command. Let's follow the same pattern. We need to add it to the CRD, right? Because we also now have this config. And we go to our Juno definition, and we go to our pod, and we need one more init container, right? There you go. And this init container will just come to config. And this will be config. There you go. There's one additional thing that we need to change. Because you see, we are using here in this pretty much bash file, we're using a couple like AZ4, LZ4, and other tools. We need to use a different image to actually run it. It has nothing to do with the chain, really, chain binary. We just need to use this image, which has all these binaries installed. Now, all we have to do is restart our operator, redeploy our CRD, delete our Juno, and apply our Juno chain. There you go. So we should see a pod. We have a pod. The init run we've done, and now we have this config. And we have a failure. Well, it cannot read this file. And why is that? Well, all these containers, they are running in their own spaces, and they do not share storage between each other. So what we need to add is a volume that they will share. So at the higher level than the containers, we do volumes. Yep. And we'll just create a volume. Its name is, let's say home. It's going to be empty there. Later, I will probably upload a video that explains how to actually build this persistent instead of using empty dir, use the PVC, persistent volume. But for now, we have to make sure that these containers share volumes. So volume mounts. Volume mounts, there you go. The first volume mount will be, so we'll use the home. And now we will have this volume shared across all the containers. And we have to go back from here, restart our operator, delete Juno, and apply Juno. There you go. Now we should see the pod running, and we see that init worked, and this config worked. Okay, we're getting 404. So we change, in iterative development, it's either in TDD, you either make the test pass or software run, or change the error. We change the error from not being able to run a folder to getting 404, and that's because our snapshot is probably old. So you see, I'm grabbing the snapshot here, this file, but there's nothing better than Polkachu, and I'm going to do Polkachu testnet Juno, and I'm going to look here, snapshot, and there's probably a new snapshot. There you go. So I'm just going to update these, and that should be enough. And the great thing is that we don't have to restart our operator anymore. We just need to redeploy the resource, and our new pod should get created. And there you go. We are downloading. So it's going to take 5 minutes to download this file. I'm going to pause the video and wait for it to finish. Okay, see you guys in 5 minutes. It's going to be very fast. Okay, so we're almost done. It's 30 seconds. It's still downloading the snapshot. And after the snapshot is downloaded and we get an exit code 0 from this part of our config init container, then the main container should start. And our chain hopefully should start correctly and start syncing with the network. Hi, 6 seconds. I hope there will be no failure. There you go. So it's probably okay. So config is still running because probably this command is running, which is just decompressing the tar LZ4 file into the chain home. There we go. Yeah, still running. And this pod is not running because it's a proper this container is not running because it's a proper container. It's just waiting for, there you go. And now our container started after all the init containers finished without errors. So there's probably some delay because it's reading the data, but soon we should see some logs. Anyway, this is pretty much achieves our goal. So you see, pretty quickly, we were able to create custom CRD, completely new CRD, define a couple of chains. This has to be updated, so it has all this init and config. And when you look at this code, it's pretty simple, right? There's some configuration, a template. This is embedded. It's kind of embedded template. You could read this template from a file. You could actually create it programmatically. And this KR8 makes your life much easier. Of course, this is very trivial implementation of the operator for a blockchain. But we already got a lot of functionality in. Well, we can start the chain, initialize it, and start it. We can also delete the CRD, and then the pod for the chain goes away automatically because of the owner references. So I would say we got some, from a trivial implementation, we got some non-trivial functionality. Of course, this is not complete. There you go. We got logs. So our chain actually started, and we should soon see that it's communicating with the rest of the internet, rest of the node on the internet, and we'll try to get in sync. So obviously, there's a lot of work to make this operator more complete, but I think this makes really easy to understand how the controller/operator works. It's basically a callback, right? Something happens in Kubernetes. A pod got deployed. A custom resource got deployed. Then your code gets called, and you can do many things in your custom code. You can create pods, deployment, RESTful sets. You can, you don't have to just create one resource. You can create multiple resources. In this way, you can code your knowledge about your application into code and just automate manual labor. Yeah, there you go. It's actually, just to make it easier, you see, it's actually syncing. So this is actually working. And now the final step, let's delete. And let's delete it. And the spot should go away. There you go. And now, just by changing this simple configuration files, I can deploy multiple nodes, multiple chains. And once you see a lot of similarity, well, I can just refactor this. If it's always this format, all I need is really provide two parameters, so this init can be easier. I just made it flexible. The same with config. It looks like it's doing a lot of the similar things, so you can refactor it. So the actual information here, for example, is you provide a chain ID, which is unique for a chain. You provide these seeds, which are unique for this to a chain. Gas price, the genesis URL, and snapshot URL, and everything else gets done identical in the same way for all the chains. Okay, so this pretty much completes our goal, and let's do a review in the next video.